Probably should have given you guys some notice, but I didn't. Oh dear. Let's see if anyone is around before I kick off this wonderful journey I've relived a few times since. As you're jumping on, let me know that you can hear me. Hello, hello, hello. I hope you guys have got a cup of tea. I hope you've got a glass of wine. Maybe you need a glass of wine for this one. Good morning. Hi, babes. How are you? How are you all? As you're jumping on, give me a like or a love. Let me know that you can hear me. I hope you guys are ready for this. And I hope you've got a little bit of time because this is not a quick story. Let's be real about this shit. Let's be really real. This journey has been profound. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to let it build for a little bit. And then, as you guys know, I'm doing my YouTube channel at the moment. Hey, Noelle, darling, how are you? Lovely to see you on here. Like I said, I'm building my YouTube channel at the moment, guys. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to build this, and then I am going to get rid of the comments so that I don't get distracted, because you know what a nightmare I am with getting distracted, so that I can also download this and pop it on my YouTube channel. So please, 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 I'm glad to hear that you're doing okay, darling. Please, 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 if people start talking to me and asking questions whilst you guys are watching, could you just maybe respond and say Lucy's turned the comments off? Hey Tracy, darling, thanks for jumping on. Just because I get so distracted. Like, you know, my girls that I work with in my business, they know exactly what I'm like. Like, I get all of these great ideas. I've come up with an amazing idea this morning, and I've called one of the girls that's coming to Sydney with me in 3 weeks. I'm going to be back in Sydney, guys. How exciting. I'm so excited. I don't know if it's 3 weeks or 4 weeks, but it's soon anyway. And yeah, we were having a chat this morning, and I'm like, anyway, I've got this really good idea, and this is what I'm going to do in Sydney. And she's like, whatever, babe, just tell me where you want me and I'll be there. That's kind of the attitude my team have with me, because they're like, oh, she's off on one again. So yeah, I'm really easily distracted, as you guys know. But today I want to take you on a really special journey of mine. I call it the Guatemala story because Guatemala is where it ended. Guatemala was a really profound place for me, and it was calling me for a long time before I went. And you guys know, I live 100% on my intuition these days, and what I tend to do is just trust that I need to go where I need to go. Now, a bit of background to this story before I kick off. I was called to Guatemala for about 18 months. So when I went travelling, as you guys know, I quit my job in 2014. I ended up travelling the world for 14 months, figuring out my passion, and I was supposed to go to Guatemala on this trip, like it had been calling me. Remember, that was 2014, 2015. Now, I got scared, I'm going to be honest. I got scared of going to Guatemala on my own. I got very comfortable in Asia, and you know, it was changing my life. And obviously, as I know now, everything happens for a reason. But it was interesting. It kind of like died a death after that, until about 18 months, probably about 2 years ago now. I'm going to try and ignore the orbs today as well, guys. So, you know, so it's about 2 years ago. I can't help it. They're so cute, and they're just flying around me. Like, I hope you guys can see these because they're just gorgeous. Anyway, so it's about 2 years ago now. I started getting this real draw towards Guatemala, and somebody had posted this picture. I'm tempted to say it was my mate Ricky, but I don't know. But Ricky is somebody who I know travels loads, and I'm wondering if it was him, but I don't know. I can't verify that, and it's completely irrelevant anyway. But somebody posted a picture, and it was on Instagram, of this place, and the orbs are here in force because I'm trying not to talk about them. You know, and this picture did something to my soul. My soul was like, you've got to go there. And for 18 months, I battled with this draw to go there, because let's be honest, guys, who would go to a location where they don't speak the language? You know, because I speak minimal Spanish. You don't speak the language. It's portrayed on the news as somewhere which is really dangerous. It's portrayed on the news as somewhere that volcanoes erupt consistently, and you know, it's just, as a woman on your own, you just don't feel safe. So after about a year of this real calling to go there, what I did was I actually booked to go to Date with Destiny. And I don't know if any of you guys know about it, but it's Tony Robbins. It's his flagship program. Date with Destiny is a 6-day course, which he guarantees to change your life. And I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I've done a lot of personal development over the years. There's a lot of things that I absolutely love about Tony Robbins. And this course was really profound for me. And so in December 2017, I went on this course. I think it was like the 2nd or 3rd of December 2017 that it started. And I flew from London to Miami. Met a guy on the plane who was sat behind me who was going to the same course, and it was really quite interesting that out of all the people on the plane, I was sat near somebody who was going on to the same course as me. But, you know, as you guys know, I trust that these people come into my life for a reason now. And I was nervous about going to Date with Destiny because I'd been to Unleash the Power in the April, and Date with Destiny was really about tapping into me. And it was something that I hadn't done. I'd done a lot of personal development through my corporate days. I'd done a lot of management training. You know, I was a director of the investment bank when I quit. So I'd done a lot of the personal development that I thought, you know, it was really important for me. However, actually that training was nothing about me. It was about like putting you in the right headspace from a corporate perspective, putting you into management levels, putting you into a corporation. And actually none of us are a corporation, guys. And I really want everybody that's watching this right now live or watching this back on replay to understand that you are not a corporation. You are a human being, okay? You are a soul living within a human body. Now, this is something that I speak about a lot these days, and I know the human brain finds it quite difficult to acknowledge that actually we are just a soul, and we are living in this incredible body. Like, I'm blessed to have been given Lucy Davis as the body to live in. You know, she's a badass. She's fiery. She's feisty. She gets stuff done. You know, she doesn't have much fear these days, which is absolutely incredible because I trust and I empower my soul to lead me. Anyway, on day 3 of this course, so there's certain things that happen over the course of the 6 days, and on day 3 of this course we have this blessing. Now, the way that Date with Destiny works, just to give you a little bit of history because it will help, you get broken down. So on day number 1, everybody mingles with everybody. On day number 2, you get put into groups, and it's decided on a pre-questionnaire, okay? And they kind of like put you in groups to make sure that it's balanced and to make sure that you kind of got the same views and values and stuff like that. So I get put in my group on day number 2, which was amazing. There were some incredible people, some people that I know are going to be my friends to the day I die. And day number 3 is when it really started working for me. So day number 3 is when we actually did a spiritual blessing. Now, I went away to this knowing that I was open, knowing that I was spiritual, knowing that I was on a path. And I don't tend to use the word spiritual. You know, I was following my intuition. I quit my corporate job in the September before. You know, I'd done some traveling. I'd met people that I knew that I needed to meet. And I was really starting to trust my intuition. Okay. Remember that this story that I'm telling you right now is what, you know, you can't hide from it, guys. When it's your time, it's your time. And that's why I've called this video exactly that. When it is your time, it's going to happen, okay? Now, I'm at this thing, and it gets to about, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock at night, who knows? Because it just goes, it starts really early and goes on really late, and you kind of lose track of time. And we get to this point where they're giving us a blessing, and they bring out the gong and all of this, you know, they're kind of like setting us up, opening up our chakras. And Tony Robbins actually really clearly speaks through. He says there will be some people in the room that get a blessing. Everybody by default of being in the room will get this blessing. However, please know that if you feel somebody on you, and he doesn't mean literally on you, but if you feel somebody's hands on you, please know that you are receiving what we call a Diksha blessing. And I'm like, please give me a blessing. Please give me a blessing. You know what it's like, guys. You kick into that moment of, oh my goodness, I really want a profound experience here. You know, like certain things were going absolutely crazy for me. Anyway, the gong was going, and we were doing this exercise to open up our chakras. So basically it was kind of like a Kundalini meditation, which just opened each chakra gently until everything was open, and we could see this beautiful light coming through us. And then what happened from there is that the whole room dropped into this meditation. And within I don't know. I wasn't as good at meditation then as I am now. And I mean, we're only talking like 8 months down the line. But within about 10-15 minutes, my best friend, who had died in November 2016, so 13 months before I went, came to me in my face and just said to me, babes, you've got to go to India. I love you. I miss you. But you've got work to do in India. And of course, as you guys know, like, my best friend was my best friend, like anybody. I missed him incredibly. And there was my profound experience, and I was crying my heart out. And then I felt these hands go over the top of my head. And basically, because I'm now a trained Diksha giver, when you put your hands over somebody's head and you actually give them the Diksha blessing, so you open the connection between you and the God to be able to give the Diksha blessing, some really profound things happen. And, you know, my body went off to all different locations. My best friend came back to me and was just saying to me, babe, you've got to go to India. Like, this really, really strong connection between myself and India was just rummaging through my body. And that is when I truly believe that I started to crack myself open. The Diksha blessing, the reason I've gone off and learned how to do it since is because it made such a profound impact on my life. You know, afterwards I couldn't stop crying. I literally cried for about 2 or 3 hours. There was just no way of releasing it. You know, people were saying to me, are you okay? And, you know, just this experience was absolutely incredible. And it's really important that you remember this bit about India, because it's actually going to make sense as I step through this journey. So, like, I carried on working through the next few days of Date with Destiny. If you ever get the opportunity to go, if you can ever afford to go, guys, I would go. There's a lot of things that don't sit well with me, but it's an incredible program. And if you are ready to really step through your stuff, and I know we've got a few people in this group who are actually going this year based on my experience of last year, so I'm really, really excited to see how they go. Anyway, off the back of Date with Destiny, I was due to be spending a week in Miami. And on the Wednesday night, so the course I think finished on the Sunday or the Monday, and on the Wednesday night, it was actually in the middle of the day in Miami, but my sister called me, and my sister said to me that my nephew had been killed. She was absolutely distraught. She, you know, she couldn't. It's actually her. So let me just. It's my step nephew, or half nephew, or no, step nephew. But you know, For this discussion, it's my nephew, okay? And my sister was absolutely broken because her son, Joshua, it was his little brother. So, of course, they were really close. My sister spent a lot of time with him. My sister's still very close to her ex-partner because of her son. Can you see this orb? And, you know, there was a real tight connection there. Anyway, what had happened is Shane, who is the nephew, had been walking across the road in Bournemouth, our hometown, holding hands with his dad, and his dad, basically, as they crossed the road, a car had hit Shane and killed him. Like, he'd hit him, he'd run over him, and he'd carried on going. And obviously, unfortunately, a 5-year-old boy was never going to survive the impact of a car. Now, my sister was on the phone crying her eyes out to me, as you guys can imagine, totally distraught, totally broken with the situation that was going on. And what, obviously, I kick into logical mode because that's how I'm programmed. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to get on a flight. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And she said to me, Luce, whatever you decide to do is okay, but you can't bring him back. Like, this journey is important for you. Like, I know how important it is. And I'll be honest, that was my sister's soul talking to me, because I know my sister needed me. I know my nephew needed me, but my sister's soul was like, no, you need to go on this journey. So for you guys that know me, you'll know that I do really kick into logical mode. So I decided, well, if I can't be there, and if my sister doesn't really want me there, I'm not going to go. I'm going to stay here on this journey, but I'm going to raise some money. I'm going to raise some money for the funeral. You guys that have known me for that amount of time will know that I raised like £6,000 in a matter of hours for little Shane's funeral, because for me, I just thought, if I can take some pressure off of the family having to organise that, that's what I'll do. I did a radio interview whilst I was there. I just kick into logical mode. A lot of people go into panic or like introvert. I go into, right, how can I fix this situation? Some of you guys might actually resonate with that. Anyway, so bless Shane, 13th of December 2017, bless his little heart, his 5-year-old life got taken from him. Now, I was due to be meeting my friend in Cuba a few days later. So I was doing this stint in Miami. I was flying on to Cuba. And, you know, again, guys, let's go back to why I didn't want to go to Guatemala in the first place. I didn't speak the language. Cuba is Spanish. You know, so I'd arranged to meet one of my girlfriends in Cuba for a few weeks. And I was at the airport and I was just about to fly from Miami to Cuba, and my girlfriend messaged me and she said, babe, I can't get on the flight. They've denied my visa. And I'll be honest, guys, I stepped right into my ego and I was like, what on earth? Why am I doing this? Why, you know, why did I not go home? I should have gone home. And I stepped into that almost victim space. And then I was like, okay, you've just been on a course for 6 days. You've met some amazing people, of which one had already said to me, because she overheard me talking about Guatemala, she was like, it's my favourite place in the world. I'm going to meet you there. So I already knew in Guatemala I had a safety net. You know, come on, let's be honest. Us girls like a little safety net. But here I was being confronted with the demon that had stopped me going to Guatemala in the first place. Now, what's the lesson here, guys? What's the lesson that you can take from this? Is that if you've got a fear and you really let it overrule your life, chances are you're going to have to step through it at a future stage. So this is why I empower every single person on a day-to-day basis to step through it quickly. The reason it's important to step through it quickly is because you don't know when it's going to come back up and surface. And here I was checked in, you know, my visas were all in place, everything was in place, and I was just about to board my flight to Cuba on my own to a country where I knew no one. You know, it's not even a third world country, guys, it's a fourth world country. Like, let's be really honest about that. And I was like, I have got no idea what this is going to mean. Why is this happening to me? And like I said, I went into victim mode. And it was when I sat on the plane and I sat there and I thought, right, what do I need to take from this situation? I'm going to a country where I don't speak the language. I'm turning up and I don't know where I'm going. Like, I had no details of where I was staying because we decided to stay in an Airbnb. I had no details of anything. And what I didn't know at the time as well, Cuba doesn't have data. So it's not like you can go and buy a SIM card and you can use your phone, because they don't have data. They have hotspots that you can go to Wi-Fi and you get an hour slot and that's it. But I didn't know this challenge at the time. And I sat on the plane on the way to Cuba and I was like, okay, what do I need to take from this situation? I felt so uncomfortable and so vulnerable. And I'm open, like I'm really open these days about talking about vulnerability. I actually think it helps us heal so well. And I sat there and I was like, okay, cool. Now, my friend is pretty intense. I love her dearly, but she's pretty intense, and she was always on a bit of a journey. And whenever I saw her, it normally ended up in me healing people. I'm sure you guys can probably appreciate that because of the job that I do. And I looked at it and I was like, okay, cool. You've just gone on a course to rewire your brain. You've rewired your brain, and now you've been given this opportunity to step through a fear that you've held on to for like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And also you're getting the opportunity to embrace who you are. And that's a difficult process to step through, guys, when you're highly charged and you're feeling vulnerable and you can't speak a language to a country that you're just about to touch down on. But that was when I made my decision that I wasn't going to let it overrule me. Okay, so I landed in this place and I found a taxi, and if any of you guys have been to Cuba, you understand, like, you get in this car and you're like, what am I doing? It's like going back to the 50s, 60s, you know, and everyone's speaking Spanish at you. You can't just go to a cash point and get cash out. You have to queue up and speak to somebody and do this and do that. And I just hadn't anticipated any of it. But what actually happened with that is I dropped into a space of love, and I dropped into a space of, okay, cool, how can I communicate with people? I can communicate with smile, I can communicate with eyesight, I can communicate with feel, and I can communicate with touch. Okay, so that's what I decided to do. I got dropped off at this place, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I just wanted to cry. It was hot, there was no water that I could drink, you know, it was the middle of the night. These two gorgeous guys that just dropped me off, I mean, if you've ever been to Cuba, you'll know how absolutely attractive the men over there are, most of them, you know. And I was in this place and I felt really vulnerable, and I could have just cried But I decided that I was going to make the best of it. I decided that this situation was happening for a reason, and that actually I probably needed to deal with my nephew's death. Actually, I probably needed to deal with the feminine energy that I just activated on this course. I probably needed to just jump into this space of who I was, you know, and stepping through my fears. The first day was interesting in Cuba. It was really, really interesting. The next couple of days is where I had a real transitional change, and I owned my feminine. I owned the fact that I was a woman in a country where everybody dances. You know, I stepped into my dancing shoes. I explored. I went on journeys. I just really embraced this female that I'd never been before. And guys, I don't know if if you guys can resonate with the corporate world, but the corporate world is masculine. You know, and for 15 years in total, I lived in that masculine space. And here I was in a country where they were like, I'm walking down a road and they were spinning me around, dancing with me. You know, you walk in for a coffee and everyone's singing and dancing, and all I could do was go with it. And literally something inside of me got activated, and I just started embracing this female that I am, you know, rather than this person that I'd convinced myself that I was, and I didn't need a man to survive, and all of that stuff that had gone on, you know. And that's when the epiphany hit me. I was like, you are in a country on your own. You have got no one telling you what to do. You've got no limitations. You've got the whole world at your feet. Go explore it. So do you know what I did that night? I went home, back to the apartment. I booked a flight. I went to I can't even remember the song that Madonna sings about. My brain's gone. You know when she sings last night, La Isla Bonita. So I flew down to where she actually wrote that song and just had a day immersed in the most beautiful culture. And I ended up dancing with this old man, like at this beautiful place. And I mean, he was like probably about 80 or 90, but he just started dancing with me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is what I've come for. This is what I needed to understand. I needed to activate this feminine energy within me. And then from there I went to a place called Varaderos, and I did loads of writing, I did loads of connection with myself. And about 10 days later, my mate finally arrives in Cuba. You know, she finally landed down in Cuba with her visa issues. She'd had issues at home, but I was a different person. By the time she turned up, I was a totally different person, guys. And I had really immersed myself into the rewiring that had taken place at Date with Destiny, the situation with my nephew, you know, and I was like, wow, this is powerful. So what her and I did is we did exactly what we were supposed to do. We had an amazing Christmas and New Year. Was it Christmas? Did she make it for Christmas? I'm not even sure she made it for Christmas, but we had an amazing New Year. And at New Year, that's when I realised that a lot of my stuff that I'd been carrying for years, I had started to drop. Okay, at New Year, I met these guys, like we were at a big party, and these guys just kept saying to me, like, come and dance with me, come and dance with me. And I'm like, oh, I'm crap dancing. And they're like, no. And I salsa'd and I danced and I threw myself around with these people from about 9 o'clock in the evening till 4 o'clock in the morning. And I cannot say to you how my soul felt at that point. Now, my friend was watching this and she was just like, why are you getting all this attention? Where's all this coming from? Like, and I was like, wow, this is the lesson that I needed to learn. I actually needed to learn that I can do anything that I want to do. And actually, it's not about other people. It's about you. It's about firing up your soul. So the next day after New Year, yes, I'd had a lot to drink on New Year's Eve. I'm going to be honest. I empower everybody to have fun. I empower everybody to have joy in their life. And for me, New Year was about enjoying it. And I had a few drinks and I was really hungover because I don't drink that much anymore. And here I was throwing myself around. Anyway, on the 2nd of January, I flew to Guatemala. So I was flying into a beautiful 5-star hotel because my girlfriend that I'd met at Date with Destiny was arriving the day after me. So I decided, I've been in Cuba, I've had no Wi-Fi, I've not been able to do my business, I've had to immerse in this internal journey. I've written more than I've ever written in my life. And I was like, I'm going to connect with my team, I'm going to do some work, I'm going to really start to build my business for this day in Guatemala. And I touched down, went to this stunning hotel, I went to the gym, I had a spa, I had a massage, I had all of this stuff to just invigorate my body. And then I went to town and I really, really worked hard that day. My girlfriend arrived the next day and I met her at the airport, and as soon as I met her at the airport, she was like, okay, cool, let's get on a bus, we're going to a place called Antigua. And so what I decided to do was just go with it, because do you know what? I had embraced the person that I was. I had embraced that this journey was going to be really powerful for me. Now, just to go back to my nephew's death, the whole time I was away, I was connecting with my sister, and I said to her, as soon as the funeral gets arranged, please message me, I will book the first flight home. Now, it's important to know that, because this is quite important for this part of the story. So here I am in Guatemala, one of the most dangerous cities in the world. I seem to be doing that a lot recently. We head on a bus to Antigua. In Antigua, I get there and I'm like, wow. Now, if you've ever been to Antigua in Guatemala, not Antigua, the Caribbean island, I'm talking Antigua, which is in Guatemala. If you've ever been there, you'll know exactly what I mean. You rock up and you're like, oh my God, this is just amazing. It's cobbled streets, there's beautiful shops, there's amazing restaurants, there's beautiful eateries, and you are surrounded by volcanoes. And most of the time the volcanoes are smoking. Most of the times you can see them just puffing out smoke. And I'll try and look at some videos for you guys, because for me, I got there and I was like, wow, I'm home. I'd never been to Guatemala, but I just felt this thing inside me that I was connected to this place. Anyway, we had a couple of days in Antigua, and my girlfriend had been saying to me, oh, we need to go to this place called Lake Atitlan. And I was like, oh, I don't care, as long as I go to this place, you know. And I showed her a photo and she's like, that's Lake Atitlan. We're going to go there for a week. Now, I messaged my pal Ricky, and he's in this group, so if he watches this back, he'll confirm. I messaged him and I was like, babe, you know, Lake Atitlan, do you think we need to go for a week, or like, you know, what's your opinion on it? And he honestly said this to me. He said, oh, I wouldn't go for a week. Like, it's a cool place, but I would go for a day. Like, a day's plenty of time. And I love Ricky, like I love Ricky more than anything. You guys will know that he's changed my life completely. I trust him, he empowers me, I empower him. We've got a very, very special relationship. And for him to say that, and this woman that I barely know, although I knew I needed to connect with her, was telling me to go for a week, I was a bit like, and then I went, oh, I'm just going to go. I can always leave. I can leave her. You know, I'm empowered to travel on my own now. You know, even though I travelled for 14 months on my own, it was so weird. It was like a light bulb had gone on. And so we went to Lake Atitlan. So it's a good few hours drive from Antigua to Lake Atitlan, and you go on a bus, and it's bloody hideous. You go up volcanoes, up hills, down hills, windy roads, crazy drivers. And the whole way there, I put my earphones in my ear, listening to some really chilled music, and I meditated the whole way. Now, this is something that I'd never done before, but I dropped into this space of meditation, and I kept saying, I thought I was saying it, but actually what I now know is it was coming to me, is just immerse yourself. Trust the process. Know what is going to be is going to be. You cannot control what is happening. And I arrived at Lake Atitlan, and like I say to you guys, exactly how I felt in Antigua, I stepped out of this bus and I looked out and I saw this lake that was surrounded by hills and mountains, and it was just a lake. I'll post a picture later. It's one of my favourite places. In fact, it's probably one of my top 2 in the world. And I looked at this thing and I was like, oh my God, I'm about to go on a journey. And I knew exactly, I've got goosebumps. I knew exactly what was about to take place. Now, we hopped on this boat and we were going over to this little place called San Marcos. And I'll be honest with you guys, when I went over to San Marcos, I expected it to be a big town. I expected there to be loads of hippies. I expected there to be loads of like woo-woo people and loads of partying and all sorts of stuff like that. I got there and this town of San Marcos is about this big. The high street, I'm going to call it the high street, it's basically a walkway. There is no cars, there is a way that you can get to it over land, but like the main bit is just, you can only walk. There is absolutely no motorized vehicles, no bikes, nothing. You just walk, and it probably takes you 10 minutes to walk from one end to the other maximum, and that's stopping and looking at all the stalls and the shops and the restaurants and everything on the way. Like, it's tiny. And I was like, what the hell am I doing here? what am I doing here? Like, what on earth is going on? Anyway, my friend Katrina, you know, she was like, this place is amazing, you've got to trust me, you've got to trust me. And I was like, babe, I'm trusting you, I'm here, you know, like, let's do this. The showers were freezing cold, the toilets didn't work properly, you know, guys, I'm talking like really, really third world countries. And but I just decided to go with it. And I, you know, the second day I think it was that we were there, we decided to go and do this cacao ceremony. Now, a lot of people go, oh, that's a bit weird, but basically cacao just opens up your heart. It just helps you, my orb likes that, it just opens up your heart. There's nothing profound, it's not like doing plant medicine, it's not like ayahuasca or anything like that. It just opens up your heart valves so that you can be more open to things. And I had quite a profound experience there. I listened to this guy who was saying quite a lot. He kept focusing on my energy. He picked up the fact that my girlfriend Katrina was particularly psychic, because she is, and we were just stepping through this ceremony, and you know, it was run by a shaman, and he was absolutely amazing, but this was just the start of the journey. And I just thought, you know, like, we were there about 4 hours and we were meditating and we were doing all this stuff, and I just thought, oh wow, this is kind of a cool place. And I just started to drop into the peace of it all. Anyway, what happened the next day is I had this real pull to go over to another one of the islands. Can you see my orbs behind me? I had this real pull to go over to one of the other places across the lake. So that's what I did. I hopped in a boat early in the morning. My girlfriend Katrina and this other guy that I'd met came with us. And all the way there, I was like, oh, this is interesting, you know, like, just being able to hop on a boat and go from town to town. And, you know, it's just a totally different way to live. I mean, I live in London, for goodness sake, or I did at the time, you know, so for me, it was just really, really profound. No matter how much I travelled, this experience was really profound to me. So I'm there going across this lake in Guatemala, and I get to this place, and I liked it, but I was desperate to get back to where I'd come from. It was really bizarre. And I'm one of those that immerses themselves in any situation. You can drop me anywhere and chances are I'll fall in love with it and I'll call it home within a few days or a week. But this place, I was just like, no, I need to go back. So I left Katrina and this guy after a couple of hours. Like, we went for coffee and we had a good look round and stuff. But then I was like, no, I'm going to go back. And on the way back on the boat, I had this real urge to just pop my hands in the water. Now, bearing in mind we're surrounded by volcanoes, and obviously what I now know about Lake Ataclan is it's a spiritual vortex. So for me, popping my hand in the water was just really calming. And, you know, there was something like, there's a sunken Mayan village under this lake. So it's really powerful. It's really, really, really beautiful spiritual place. And as I got off the boat the other side, I just felt really connected to where I was. Now, within seconds, so you get off on a little jetty and you walk through, and we'd picked the hotel that was right at the front so we could look over the lake, because I wanted to do my writing, and as you guys know, I've got 3 books on the go, so I wanted to like get one of those bottomed out. And basically what happened is I got off the boat and I walked into into where we were staying. It wasn't an apartment, it was a hotel. I walked in the gate and a hummingbird was like this in my face. It was like looking at me, looking away, looking at me, looking away, and looking at me. And I was like, well, this is weird. Hummingbirds don't come that close to you, number one. But like, what on earth? And then it flew off. And I just felt this urge to sit down, and a cat just came and jumped on my lap. Now, what I forgot to tell you, or what I omitted telling you at the beginning, was this cat had been following me from the minute I'd got off the boat. So, and Katrina will vouch for this. When I got off the boat the day that we arrived, this cat had been following me all the way up the town and all the way back until we decided that we were going to stay at this first place that we'd seen. And it had been following me everywhere. It sat outside my room in the morning. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm much more of a dog person than a cat person. Or at that time I would. I've changed everything now. I like everything. I just love everything now. You know, there is no question. But this cat had really been following me, and it was a cute little thing, and it just jumped on my lap, and I was like, okay, what are you trying to communicate to me? And I actually said that out loud. I was like, okay, what are you trying to communicate with me? I don't understand what you're trying to communicate. You need to give me clearer signs. Anyway, something came through me in my head, and I was like, you got to go meditate. And where I was very blessed. I was surrounded by temples. I was surrounded by a beautiful place called La Pyramids. If you ever go to Guatemala and you ever go to Lake Ataclan, please go there. It's one of the most beautiful, spiritual, profound places. The way that it's designed, the angles that it's on, the fact that it's surrounded by volcanoes, it is absolutely beautiful. So I said to my girlfriend when she finally got back, I was like, babe, I'm going meditating tonight. And she was like, okay, cool, I'll come with you. And I said, I've never been to a meditation class in my life. Like, I've meditated, I always meditate, but I've never been to a class in my life. I don't know what it's going to be like. And she said to me, look, Las Pyramids is amazing, because she'd done a month there. She was like, just go and just embrace it and enjoy it and just see what happens. Now, I walk into this place and I've got to be honest, I felt like a total fraud. There were all of these really woo-woo people going in there, and, you know, you could just tell, you know, don't you, when people are really connected to themselves. And I walked in there and I was like, I'm a fraud. I've never done this before. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just going to follow instructions and see what happens. Well, as much as I went in there a fraud, I came out feeling very, very different. I sat down and I listened to this lady take us through this meditation, and I had this thing buzzing around my head the whole time, and I can only liken it to Tinkerbell. You know Tinkerbell and Peter Pan? I hope you guys are keeping up with me, by the way. Tinkerbell and Peter Pan. And she was like bouncing around all in front of me. And I'm like, what on earth is that about? And that's really weird for me in meditation, because in meditation, I normally slow right down. But this thing was buzzing around me and was like, hello, you know, you need to be noticing me. And I kept acknowledging it and saying, you know, like, whatever sign you've got for me, you know, talk to me whenever you can. Like, I'm here, I'm open, I'm ready to receive. And I had a very profound meditation experience. And as I left there, and this place is beautiful. Like, you go up, they close the doors, they unravel this beautiful pyramid and this beautiful crystal. And as I left, I said to my girlfriend, something happened to me in there. And she said, something happened to you. I think this is going to be quite a profound day. Now, remember, she's psychic, so she hears stuff. And she said to me, I got this vibe that your nephew's around me, Lucy. You know, and she's very connected to children. And I said to her, it's really funny, I had this buzzing. And like, my little nephew was a crazy little thing. My sister will probably jump on and watch this later. He was crazy. He was the life and soul. He was a nutter, you know, and it was just weird that I had all this buzzing around me. And I said to her, babe, I'm just going to go for some food. Like, I really feel like I need to go and eat some plants. I feel like I need to connect. I need to kick my shoes off. I need to ground myself. She's like, okay, cool, let's go. Anyway, I walked into this restaurant. It's a garden restaurant there. It's absolutely beautiful. The food is incredible in Guatemala, just so you know. I walked into this restaurant, and this lady, this beautiful lady, came up to me and she just said, darling, you know that you've got to go and shine your light, don't you? You know that you are meant for much greater things on this planet. You know that the world needs you to go shine your light. And I don't know if any of you guys, I've got goosebumps all over me. I don't know if any of you guys, I'm probably going to cry now as well. So really, I apologise for this in advance. I don't know if any of you guys have ever watched the story about why I started on this journey. My granddad, in the 12 weeks before he died, kept saying to me, go shine your light, Lucy. The world needs you. The world needs you to go and take them on a journey and shine your light. And this woman had said word for word what my granddad had said to me. I'm really sorry about this, guys. And it was like a bolt out of the blue. I just didn't expect it. I felt my granddad was stood there in front of me just saying to me, babe, you're doing really good. Please keep going with this. The world needs you. And I said to this lady, I'm shaking like a leaf, guys. I don't know if you can see I'm shaking like a leaf now. I said to this woman, where did you get those words from? My granddad said that to me before he died. And she said to me, darling, your granddad's here with me. He just wanted to use me to let you know that he's with you, that he loves you, and that he's so proud of you. And with that, I was, as I'm sure you guys can imagine, my granddad was my world. He was my world. He's still my world. I know he's not here anymore in physical, but these orbs flying around me, that's him. I know it's him. I know it's both of my I've got goosebumps on goosebumps. Thanks for going with me, guys. So I ended up sitting down with this lady, and I looked at my friend and I said, this lady's a witch. Like, you know, this lady is a witch. And, you know, and I own that, because I know I'm a witch now as well. I didn't know it at the time, but I think people have, like, you know, blown this word up out of proportion. And actually, which is probably back in the day used to be the bringer of the good, but it's just been portrayed as something different in this society. Anyway, so I sat down and spoke to this lady for quite a while, and she just said to me, darling, you know that this trip is going to change your world. It's going to change your life. You are going to find your life purpose on this trip. And I just sat there and I said to her, I'm not sure I'm ready for this. I've been on this journey. I've been exploring the world. I haven't known why I've been doing it, but I always knew that I had a much greater purpose than myself. And she said to me, darling, you know, your soul knows. Please just keep trusting and just know it's all going to become clear. So as you guys can imagine, I was on one. I was like, why me? You know, as we do comfort, we go into victim mode. Why me? I'm not ready for this. You know, what's brought this on? Why? You know, just why? And a lot of you guys ask this on a day-to-day basis, which is why I say to you, why is coming from a space of ego. I know that word makes us all cringe, but why is coming from a place of ego, or how do I do this? When you literally surrender and you trust and you know. It's interesting, I've got a wasp outside my window. My spiritual animal at the moment is a wasp because I need to get my business moving even greater. I'm just going to shut the window. Bless it. Sorry, not today, sweetie. I've seen you. Lots of love. So I'm sat there like going into why. And that after I'd spoken to this lady, I was like, look, I need to go. And I said to my friend, I need to go. I just need to go back and I just need to meditate and I just need to go to sleep and forget that any of this stuff's happening because I just can't cope with it. I was literally, I'd been cracked open. I felt as if my soul had escaped and I didn't know what the hell to do with the human body that was left. So I went back. By 9 o'clock that night, I was asleep. I had meditated and I dropped into a place of sleep. And at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up to this hand on my face. And it was the hand of my nephew. It was the hand of Shane. And I saw him. But as most normal people do, you see something that shocks you and you wake yourself up. So I don't know if you guys have ever had a dream where you've been falling and you wake yourself up. Normally what that means is you've seen yourself outside of your body and you snap yourself back into it. And we've all been there, okay? I saw Shane, and rather than trusting that I could communicate with him, I woke myself up and I was like, no, I've wanted him to come to me. He's come to me and now I've just blown it. You know, and again, victim mode, right? Oh no, why have I done this? Why have I done this? And I just believed, I remembered some of the words that the lady had said to me and I just thought, no, you need to just trust this journey. Like, he'll come to you when he's ready. And I dropped back to sleep. Anyway, the next morning, and this is where it gets really interesting, guys. This is where it gets really, really profound. The next morning I woke up and I said to my girlfriend, Katrina, Shane came to me last night. He woke me up and she went, he came to you? He was talking to me for an hour and a half, darling. And I was like, okay. Now, please remember when I got back and the hummingbird and the cat came to me, Katrina was not with me. I was on my own. So Katrina said to me, the hummingbird was to get your attention. The cat was to tell you to be more still. When you're more still, I'm going to cry. When you're more still, Shane will be able to communicate with you. He's trying desperately to communicate you. He's coming to you via the cat to help you be more still. If that's not profound enough, this journey gets much more interesting. So I said to her, babe, that cat's been following me. And she said, I know, Lucy, you've got to love the cat. You've got to. And with that, the cat starts crying outside of the room. So I let it in and it's in my bed. And I'm like, oh my God, this is my nephew. But she hadn't seen the hummingbird, guys, so it's really important about that. And what she basically said to me is, Shane is really happy. He's with the children, he's playing, he's laughing, he's loving, but he just wants to be able to communicate with you because he's trying to get you to go home with messages for his family. And you know, I kind of felt really bad. I was like, oh my God, I'm always so busy. I'm always on my phone. I'm always running around. I'm always trying to keep everybody happy. That actually I'm not being still. I'm not being true to myself. I'm not being true to who the world needs me to be. And she said to me, you know, that an Indian boy had gone and crossed Shane over. So I get that this is probably a little bit off the scale for some of you, but when people cross over, normally someone will go and get them. So for example, when my granddad crossed over, my nan went to get him. I know that because my granddad's told me. But, you know, with Shane, because he was only 5, he didn't really know any grandparents that had died. He didn't really know anybody. So there was an Indian boy that had gone and collected him from the gates or whatever, because, you know, Shane was ready to transition straight over. It wasn't like he had unfinished business on this planet, so he transitioned straight over. And he was there, you know, Katrina said to me, oh, he was there with a girl who'd been kidnapped and murdered. And he was with all of these other children, and, you know, she was communicating with him and just making sure that he was okay. And it's really interesting because Shane actually said to Katrina, you have to tell Lucy she's got to go to India. You have to tell Lucy she has to go to India. And so you guys know that at Date with Destiny, at the beginning of my trip, I was told by my best friend that I needed to go to India, that there was work to do. And here's my nephew coming back to me again saying, Lucy's got to go to India. She needs to find this Indian boy's mother and tell him that he's okay. Like, she needs to go do that. And Katrina's telling me this, and I'm like, babe, how many people live in India? You know, again, going straight into my ego. How on earth am I supposed to do that? How many people live in India? Like, this one woman I'm supposed to find her out. How am I? Blah, 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 blah. Kicking into ego. And he basically, they had a conversation for a little bit longer. And long story short, I needed to go to India. I needed to find this boy's mother. I needed to tell the mother that the boy was okay and that he was with her every step of the way. That was the first bit. The second thing that he said was, Lucy needs to go and speak to a lady called, she needs to go to Las Pyramids, and she needs to speak to a lady called Chatty. Chatty is going to help you. Chatty is going to give Lucy the messages to take home. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I clicked straight into ego again. I'm not going to the pyramids to ask to speak to a woman called Chatty. I mean, who's called Chatty? That's what I was saying. I'm owning it. And there was a reason I stepped through all this stuff in this trip, right? Bearing in mind, this was only I was only at this place a week. You know, so I was stepping through all of this stuff. So I'm telling you this so that when you start stepping into the why me, remember this stuff, because once you step through it, and once you realise, and once you surrender, and once you honour your truth, you will just embrace this on a day-to-day basis, because since I've left Guatemala, I have never stepped into that space again, ever. Now, just going back, so I'm there going, oh my God, this is crazy. So obviously, the first thing I do is I pick up the phone to my sister, and I'm like, Kirsty, did Shane know any Indian boys? And my sister was like, no. He lives in a white area of England, you know, he goes to a very white school. No, like, what on earth are you talking about? She went, funny you talk about India, actually. You're never going to believe what Mark did on Christmas Day. Now, Mark is my stepdad. Mark is my world. I love Mark so much. Mark is the one that had amethyst crystals hidden away a few weeks ago when I was back home. So obviously Mark's intuition was linking to my soul, and, you know, all of this will start to become really clear. Mark played the film The Lion, and I was like, The Lion, that rings a bell with me, but I don't know what it is. She went, oh, it's the story where there's an Indian boy who gets hit by a train, and his brother gets taken to Australia by a lady who adopts him, and he basically tries to find his way back, and he dates a girl called Lucy, and all of these details. And I'm like, whoa. India, hit by a train, Australia, Katrina's Australia, and Lucy, my name. I'm like, I've got goosebumps on goosebumps. Oh my God, literally, I've got goosebumps on goosebumps. And I was like, whoa, this is way too close for comfort. This is way too, interestingly, my dad's just messaged me saying, have you heard from your sister? His soul's listening to my soul, which is really interesting. Bless his heart. Lots of love, Daddy. So, you know, all of this weirdness, as I thought at the time, was coming together, and I'm saying this out loud to my friend Katrina, and Katrina just was like, run that by me again, and she gets on Google, and I put my sister on loudspeaker, and I'm like, sis, please could you just repeat everything that you've just told me? And she repeated the story again. Katrina's like, oh my God, this is the boy. Oh my God, this is the, and Katrina used to be a detective in the police, just so you know. She used to be a detective in the police. She's rummaging through all of this stuff, and she manages to find the exact story, and it's based on a true story. So what we now know is that this Indian boy that had been hit by the train that this movie was designed about actually crossed my nephew over. What a beautiful story, huh? And I have a mission to go to India to speak to this woman, which actually we've managed to locate her now. So when I go to India, I will be going to speak to her, but we're just going off on a bit of a tangent with that one. This is what called trusting your intuition is about, guys. This is what cracked me open, and this is what, like, I will never ever ever give up this journey, because this is what happened. This stuff is really real. So the last bit of the puzzle was Katrina's like, come on then, we're going to Las Pyramids. And I was like, no chance, I'm not doing it. No way, this is all just too freaky, I'm not doing it. And she said to me, get yourself up, we're going to Las Pyramids. And I was like, I'm not doing it, babe. And at 9:30 in the morning, she's dragging me over there. And she's like, ask the question. And I said to this lady behind the desk, I was like, you are going to think I'm crazy with what I'm about to tell you, but please, can you just go with me? And I explained that my nephew had died on the 13th of December, and I'd been called to this place in Guatemala, and he had come to both myself and my friend last night, and he'd told me I need to come here and I need to ask for a lady called Chatty. And I looked at her and I went, you're going to think I'm crazy, right? And she went, oh, Chatty's my mum. And I was like, of course she is. Of course she is. The way that my journey's going, of course your mum's called Chatty. So I look at my friend and I'm like, what on earth is this about? And she's like, ask the questions. And I just said, look, is there any way that I can speak with your mum? I've been told that she's got some information that I can take home for my family. I'm going home for his funeral. I leave on Friday. This was on maybe the Wednesday that I had this conversation. And she was like, listen, my mum's got a 4-month waiting list. She's not even on the island yet. She arrives tomorrow. She was like, but, you know, my mum has got a 4-month waiting list. And I just said to her, look, is there any way that I can just have 10 minutes with her, or, you know, whatever it takes? If she could fit me in, I would be so gracious to you. I said, this journey is, this is just too profound to not understand why I need to speak with your mum. And she just said to me, Lucy, of course, I'm going to make sure that you've got an appointment. And she went through her diary and she said, look, how does 4 o'clock tomorrow sound? And I was just like, 4 o'clock tomorrow is perfect. Like, I'll be here. Where do you need me? And what was quite interesting is I left there and I knew that I was about to be completely cracked open. Like I had surrendered to it. I had opened so wide, but I knew I was about to be cracked open. This lady is one of the most profound shamans in that area of the world. She's incredible. She's a very, very powerful lady. So the next day, rather than just like meditating and being normal and just doing normal things, I decided to go to a seminar on lucid dreaming. I've been fascinated with lucid dreaming and astral travelling for a very long time. At that point, I'd never been able to do it. And I was like, I'm going to go to a seminar on lucid dreaming. Like, what else is going to shock me on this trip? And I walked into this seminar and I listened. I saw this beautiful woman. She was probably like 70, 80 years of age. She had hair right down to her backside. She was beautiful. Imagine the most glamorous witch that you've ever seen in your life, but with grey hair. She was stunning. And I was in awe of this person. I was just like, wow, this woman is just incredible. The way that she spoke, the way that she glided around the room, the way she connected with people. You know, even when her English wasn't so great, she would connect and she would like speak to somebody in Spanish so that she could get it out. It was just amazing. But the whole way through this lucid dreaming seminar, she kept talking about life after death. And at the end of it, she said, like, I've got no reason and no rhyme or reason as to why I keep talking about lucid dreaming today. Not lucid dreaming, about life after death today. She said it's going to make sense to somebody. So whoever it is, I'm sending you love and know that I'm with you on this journey. And I'm there going, oh my God, this is amazing. Whoever's just got that message, how lucky are they? Oh my God, this woman is incredible. If I ever grow up to be anything like her, like, I'm going to be amazing. I love her. Literally, I was in love with her. You know, anyone ever met somebody that they're like, oh my God, you blow me away. I want to be like you. Like, you know, I'm late 30s and I wanted to be her. I was like, yes, I'm going to be this woman. I love her so much. I was just in awe of everything that she'd done. Of course, I rock up to this place at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and who's there but this beautiful witch-like lady to meet me? That was Chatty, and I had no idea. And as soon as she saw me arrive, and she went, "It was you, wasn't it?" She said, "All of those messages that I was getting through this lucid dreaming seminar today, it was about you. It was you, it was your journey, it was to prepare me and you for this." She said, "I should have known it was you." And I was just, of course, I was in tears straight away. And she said to me, "Lucy, tell me why you're here today. Let me understand why you're here today." And I said to her, "My nephew died on the 13th of December. He was one of a twin, and he was hit by a car. The lady hit him, ran over him, proper ran over him. It wasn't just a hit and a stop. She hit him and ran over him. And, I was just, it was just, and this lady was visibly disturbed. And she was like, "How's the family doing? How's your sister doing? How's the mother doing? How's the father doing? How's your nephew doing? How are the other children doing?" She was really, really interested. And she just said to me, "Oh, Lucy, this is so sad." She said, "This is a story that, you just don't hear about." She said, "I've never heard about this with a twin before." She said, "Actually, that's a lie. I've heard about one twin before, but I want to go into this meditation with you with an open mind." She said, "So the way that this is going to work is we're going to drop into a silent meditation for 15 minutes. Then I'm going to start chanting to bring my guides in, and then I'm going to communicate with you exactly what you need to do." She said, "As soon as I start communicating with you, please open your eyes, please have a pen and paper, please write, please jot notes, please just do whatever." But obviously, when you're doing this kind of stuff, you don't want to be around technology, guys. And as much as I use social media for this stuff, when I meditate and stuff, there's never any technology near me, because it just changes the dynamics and the frequencies that you're vibing at. Just to go off on a little tangent. So we drop into this. I keep seeing a spirit back here, guys. Sorry if I keep looking in that direction. I keep feeling something right here. Random. So I drop into this meditation, and it felt as if I had a ton of concrete on my lap. I was being pushed into this earth. And bearing in mind, I'm in a beautiful little temple. I wasn't in the main temple where I'd done the other meditation. I was in a beautiful miniature version of it. Very profound. The crystals were still there. Everything was still there. And I felt as if I was being put under concrete, and I could feel this thing pulsating next to me. And with that, I started crying, uncontrollably crying. Neither of us were speaking, we were in silent meditation, and I was uncontrollably crying. I just could not stop crying. It was the motion of almost being pinned down, but feeling that something was there and it was about to guide me. I just couldn't. You guys have probably had some profound experiences as well, but this was something that I'd never experienced in my life. And then she starts chanting, and she starts bringing in certain representatives from her team. You guys know that I bring in my team on a day-to-day basis, and but it's different people in my team. So some days it's my granddad, some days it's people that I don't know, some days it's my archangel, some days it's whatever. I have a massive team that I pick between each day, and this is what she was doing. So she called in 3 representatives from her team, and she asked them for guidance. She asked them what the purpose was for this happening, and what my journey was to help these people the other side. And basically she started chanting, and she started telling me what I needed to do, and I was writing down all of this stuff. And what she revealed, obviously I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of it. I was with her an hour, so it would be a hell of a long Facebook Live, and it's probably already been quite a long one. Started writing all of this stuff down, and there were certain things that I needed to set up at home. So I needed to set up like a shrine to him, but not really. Certain things needed to be there to make sure that he was going to pass over okay in readiness for the funeral. There were certain things I needed to do with the children. There were certain things that I needed to do with the adults. There were certain things that I needed to introduce to them on a day-to-day basis, no matter how weird they thought that I was. And trust me, my sister's ex-partner, who's the father of my nephew, but also my step-nephew, half-nephew, whatever it is, basically he kept saying, what have you been smoking whilst you've been away, Lucy? Because the disconnect is there. Your logical brain just can't process this stuff. And we just kept stepping through. And that's when she came out with the most profound thing. And she said to me, "Lucy, your nephew knew coming into this world that at that day, at that time, at that moment, he was going to give up his life. The soul of both of your nephews, the twins, there was one soul between them. And they knew that one of them was going to go. And your nephew Shane gave up his life so that Caden could remain on the planet." Now, the reason that had happened was because the lady driving the car needed to step through some karma. So he had given his life to teach this lady who had to step through karma, this karmic lesson. And she said to me, don't be angry. And it's really interesting, when my sister called me and she was crying and she was so angry, I kept saying to her, Kirsty, imagine what this woman is going through. No matter how you feel, imagine what this woman is going through. Imagine how she must feel on a day-to-day basis, knowing she's got 2 little children and she's just killed a 5-year-old boy. You know, and of course, most of us live in ego and most of us live in victim. And it's like, no, you know, this person's gone. But actually, my little nephew did the most courageous thing. He saved his little brother by giving his soul. And I salute him for that. You know, as much as it's weird to comprehend for the human brain, I salute him so much for that journey. And it was at the end of my session with her, there was so much other stuff that she gave me and she told me, but it was a very personal thing. Please know that, you know, if you lose someone, it's not going to be the same rituals that you need to step through. You need to trust and you need to surrender to understand what they would need, you know, and very much make it about them. And at the end of it, she just said to me, you don't have children, do you? I said, no, not yet. I said, one day. She said to me, Lucy, you are a mother of many. You've been put on this planet to change the way that motherhood is looked at in this world. She said, you are here to increase the feminine energy on the planet to make such a huge difference. You've got no idea how many children you hold. She said, it's your job to go home, wake your sister up so that she can look after this family. And then you can go off and do the rest and start waking people up globally. Now, do you guys remember that the woman had told me in that restaurant that I was going to find out my purpose? I had no idea. I had no idea. Like, I knew, I've known from birth that I have a purpose. You know, I've known from birth, like my mum, not that she'd come on here because she thinks I'm crazy doing this stuff, but my mum will vouch for the fact that from the age of 2 years of age, she was like, Lucy, you were put on this planet to do something, because I just used to go off and help people. I just used to go and love everybody. If ever anyone was sad, I would be the person to wake them up. I would be the person to give them all of the time, love and attention that they needed to crack them through. A lot of you guys have been working with me for a while now, and you know, when you're having a shit day, you come see me and you step through it really, really quickly. You know, we have a conversation for 2 minutes. You know, I had 3 suicide cases in 24 hours not so long ago. The reason they came to me is because they knew that I was going to crack them through. You know, I don't know what this gift is that I've been given. All I know is that I've been given an absolute blessing. And the fact that I got put on that journey at that time was for the better of my family, was for the good of the planet. You know, and I put that Guatemala journey off for 18 months. I'd been putting it on hold. I was so scared of myself. I was so scared of what I was going to go through. And that's why I say, when it's your time, it's your time. There's nothing you can do to avoid it. I flew home, so I left Guatemala on the Friday. I landed back on the Monday. Like, I had to go halfway, like, all around South America and stuff to get home. I landed back on the Monday. I drove straight to Bournemouth. I walked into my mum's house. I spoke with my sister. I had really profound conversations with my family, because I was like, do you know what? This is my journey. You can either embrace it now, or you can think I'm a weirdo. Like, my mum does think that I need to be sectioned, just so you know. No, I'm joking. She doesn't. She said if she didn't know me, she probably would, but she knows me and she knows I'm not crazy. And at the funeral the next day, it's really interesting, all of the children came to me and told me that Shane was at the top of the church watching them, and that Shane was in the next door room playing with them. And the reason they came to me and told me is because they knew that they could connect to him via me. Guys, there is no more profound thing in this world than knowing that you are healing children. All of our children, as we know, we speak about it all the time in this group, all of the children are being dampened down. You know, their awakening is being stopped by society and the rules and everything. To know that there were children there that know that Shane was there as well. He was there with them, you know, and for me to be able to say to them, look, every day that you feel lost or that you miss him, talk to him, he's there with you. You know, I feel him around me all the time. Constantly I feel him around me, you know, and it's an empowering journey. After his funeral, I kid you not, this is where I'm actually going to end this story. I kid you not, after the funeral that evening, I was sat there with my mum and I was explaining what was going on. So there was me, my mum, and my stepdad in the room. I think my sister had just left the room, and they've got a beautiful kitchen. They've got a massive island in the middle, and I was sat on one of the chairs. My mum was sat on a chair over here, and my stepdad was on, he's like a dad to me. My stepdad was sat on the couch, and I kid you not, the fruit bowl was like this, and it flipped upside down and all the fruit went everywhere. My mum's jaw hit the floor. My stepdad went, clearly logical mode, it, you know, it must have been falling over. It must have been this, it must have been that. And I just went, it's Shane. He's letting us know that he's here. He's letting us know that he's safe. He's letting us know that he's grateful for everything that's gone on today. And I'm talking the fruit went everywhere, you know. And guys, the only way that you can open yourself up to this stuff is by surrendering. That's the reason I share this journey so openly. And I know if this gets into the wrong hands, people, you know, like people have such different views, and I'm certainly not looking to project this on people. But what I want you guys to know is, if you want to trust your journey, and I'm not saying you're going to be a communicator like I am, or a healer or whatever. Your journey is your journey. You know, it might just be a personal thing. It might just be working with your family. Maybe it's a global thing like me. You know, maybe we'll do some crazy business together at some point, you know, cracking the world open, because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. But just trust that you need to go inwards to be able to go outwards. This journey is all about going inwards. None of it is about ego, because as soon as your ego comes up and your logical brain tries to process it, it slows you down. Now, I share this journey, like I say, so openly and so lovingly, because it was the biggest profound change in my life. Since then, I have just surrendered to the universe. I've surrendered to my higher self. I've surrendered to whatever it is that is driving me, my intuition. You know, that's why I called this group Living Intuitively. Because I live by my intuition on a day-to-day basis. I know when somebody's energy is wrong. I know when I shouldn't be doing something and I don't do it. I trust implicitly now. Some days I'm walking along in this direction and somebody stops me from going, and I'm like, okay, go, I go this way. When you feel that, guys, trust it. Don't question it. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel bad. Don't feel, oh my God, this isn't right. You know, why am I letting something control me? Go with it. Your journey is going to get better. Your journey is going to get really, really amazingly profound. Now, I know I've been awake since a child. Like, I know I have. I switched it off for very many years. Like I said, 15 years in corporate, let alone the however many years we go through schooling and stuff. Like, I completely closed off. The fact that I can open and I can go through these scenarios means anybody can. It doesn't matter if you're 60. My dad is 64. He is cracking open like a nut at Christmas at the moment. He has been on such a profound journey. He is literally popping open, and he's 64 years of age. So the age thing doesn't wash with me. It's about how much you really want to go on the mission that your soul has been put on this planet to do. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter whether you think that you're fat or skinny or beautiful or ugly or any of those things. Your soul is what matters. Now, trust your soul to lead you to the journey. Forget about the ego stuff. Forget about everything else. It's time for you guys to open and immerse yourself in this journey. It's scary. I'm openly saying it is scary. It's super, super scary. Own it, guys. Really, please do own it. Guatemala, I said to my friend, how do I stop this? How do I turn this off? How on earth do I just put the pause button on? And she said to me, babes, you don't want to do that. And she was right. I didn't want to do that, but I was scared. I was scared of my own power. And you guys know I've been on crazy journeys since then as well. You know, and there is so much fear at certain times. Now, there was anyway. Now for me, I don't have any fear. You know, I land in Phnom Penh in Cambodia, which is, again, one of the most dangerous cities in the world. And I'm like, okay, cool, what do you need me here for? You know, and you guys know, like, I went off crazy stuff. I went off and did some absolute crazy stuff in Cambodia. You know, so just know it doesn't mean that you are going to go and travel the world and pick up things like I do. It might mean that there is something right on your doorstep. Hey, Kate, darling, you know, it might be that there's something on your doorstep that you need to be working on. Maybe it's your children, maybe it's sickness, maybe it's medicine, maybe it's disease, maybe it's food, maybe it's whatever. Don't try and live in somebody else's shoes and be like, okay, I need to do that because that looks really cool. Own what it is for you. And when you get really true with your values, and you guys know I do a lot of work on values, when you get really true with your values, you know exactly what your purpose is. My two top values are helping people and traveling. There is a reason I travel the world, I pick up this stuff and I come back and I help people break through. There is a reason I do that, because they're my two top values. Your top values may be your family. Your top value may be actually just being you, just sitting in peace. You know, maybe being a monk or something like that is your top value, and that's okay. We all have different missions, and this is something that we are not empowered to understand, to believe, to follow. And that's my job. is to help you guys realize you are incredible. You are the most amazing things on this planet because you are open to receiving and you are open to change your life and follow your path. So I honor you all for being in this group. I honor you all for going on your respective journeys. I know we've got people right at the start of their journey to wide awake and flying every night like I do. You know, I honor you all for wherever you are in this journey. There is no room for ego. Okay, let's just empower each other to be the best version that we possibly can and follow our souls, because your soul knows best. As soon as I stopped questioning and started trusting me, and let's be honest, there is no God. The God is you. Let's be really honest here. Your God is you. You might look up to a God, but that God should have your face on it, because that's who it is. Your soul is guiding you. Your soul is leading you to your destiny. Please listen. Please listen. If you've lost a loved one like I have done, if you've lost, you know, people to addiction and stuff like that in your life, please know that that was their path. They chose that path before they came into this life. What you need to do is work on you, heal you. And it normally starts with healing your health, guys. Let's be honest about it. It normally starts with healing the health. Once you heal your health, because that's what I did. My health was broken. The reason I left corporate, I burnt myself out. I had no choice. They took me down so badly, I had no choice but to crack myself open and heal myself. And that's what I did. And here I am now on a totally different path, doing a totally different journey, getting so much satisfaction. And I get signs every day. Why? Because I've just gone, okay, cool, lead me. Just show me who you want me to serve. And that's why people come to be served every single day. Guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. To those people who have been watching on Facebook Live, I actually didn't look at the comments because I want to pop this on my YouTube channel. So now it's at the end, I can cut this bit off. But thank you for watching. I will come back to your comments afterwards. Let your soul digest what we've spoken about today. Let your soul... Don't try and logically process, oh, well, this could have happened or that could have happened, or maybe it was this or maybe it was that. Let your soul hear the words. If you need to go back and listen to it again at another time, please do. You know, it's going to be in this group, so it's free for you guys to just tap into whenever you want. Let your soul listen to the words, because your soul will start to wake up. Okay? I love you guys loads. I really, really love you guys loads. Thank you very much for listening today, and I will catch you super soon.